Next, we have another survivor story from Robyn Peacock. A proud Californian, Robyn Peacock will be sharing with us what it means to be a passionate patient advocate, helping others on the same journey as herself. From diagnosis and treatment from a bicuspid aortic valve and ascending aortic aneurysm, Robyn has experienced what it means to navigate the health system and advocating for herself within her diagnosis. Along with being the Director of Patient Engagement for Heart Valve Voice US, Robyn has been an active participant in clinical research, a Women Heart Champion, and an American Heart Association Circle of Red member. Importantly, Robyn works within her own community, providing one-to-one support to those newly diagnosed with heart disease. Rock from the Heart is thrilled to have Robyn Peacock share her message of positivity and proactive patient engagement in helping others. Please welcome Robyn.
Hi. Barbara, oh my gosh, I just want to hug you. It's like, this is how I feel when I get into a room of other heart patients. You're not alone, and they get it. You know, you're an inspiration. You're a true inspiration, so thank you. So yes, I am Robyn Peacock. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I'm also an open heart surgery survivor. I was born with a bicuspid aortic valve, and I had the resulting ascending aortic aneurysm. Neither was discovered until I was age 43. They were missed. There's so many things about the conference already today. I've been taking notes. Every one of them I'm hitting, so I may be jumping around because our stories are so important. And so to go back to advocating for yourself, I have been misdiagnosed. My diagnosis has been missed, and I have had delay in diagnosis. So that's a whole arena in this heart world that I'm learning about. I also advocate for myself, and it saved me from sepsis. I had endocarditis, which is an infection which settled in my heart, on my heart valve, on my compromised heart valve, my bicuspid. It was a delay of over 6 to 8 months. No doctor could understand what was wrong because I did not present with a fever. And I had a subacute infection and a strep infection from my mouth. And so another piece, again, jumping all over, so I do apologize, but so many important things to share. When you have heart disease, your oral health is super important. And I go now for cleaning every 4 months. And it's just something I've put into the budget because it's that important to my heart, especially since I have had endocarditis. And endocarditis came in through my mouth. I had not had a recent teeth cleaning. They think it was just eating, chewing, flossing, something, a tortilla chip. Sometimes, you chip your roof of your mouth on the point of a tortilla chip. So the endocarditis settled in my legs, and it settled in as though I had just done 2,000 pliés and had shredded every muscle in my leg, and I couldn't walk. So here I was, a healthy 53-year-old doubles tennis player 5 days a week, hiker, paddleboarder, walk the dogs, all of those things. And all of a sudden I was in a wheelchair. And I didn't really have a primary doctor at the time because I kind of had fired my male doctor because he told me I was fat and he wasn't going to help me because I had gained weight. And so here's an 800 calorie a day diet and come see me in a little bit. So I really hadn't had a primary doctor other than my OB for a few years leading up to this endocarditis. I did have my cardiac team at Cedars-Sinai, my cardiologist. So he and I had been working together since 2007 when I received the diagnosis. So long story, endocarditis is a big part of my story. I am on a couple of different podcasts, one for Alliance for Aging Research. Last year I was their heart valve disease awareness podcast. So I do talk about it in online, and I'm happy to talk about it offline with any one of you. So advocating for myself absolutely saved my life because we ultimately did get a diagnosis. And I recovered after all of the medicine, the daily infusions, and here I am. A big part of my why is I was with my best friend when she was 42, and I was 39, and she dropped dead of a heart attack. And she was my doubles tennis partner, super healthy, 2 young boys. And at the time, age 39, I didn't know much about heart disease. And heart disease at the time for me was older men, smoker, heart attack, clogged artery, that kind of thing. I didn't know that women had heart disease. I didn't know there was an electrical portion of heart disease. I didn't know there was a plumbing portion of the heart disease. And at that time, I didn't know there was also an infectious portion of heart disease. So with Maureen passing, and then 4 years later, because I had gained this weight, I went and referred myself to a coronary calcium scan. This is going back to advocating for yourself, educating yourself. The coronary calcium scan came back with a 0, so I had 0 calcium in my arteries. But at the bottom of the report was a footnote, dilated aorta, 44 mm. This is from a major medical center in Los Angeles. Not one follow-up call. I just got a letter in the mail a couple weeks later. I didn't know what it meant because I just didn't think about it, so I Googled it, and it said aneurysm. It was Friday, April 13th, 2007, is when I learned I had an aneurysm because I sent myself, because I was heavy, to see if I was going to die like Maureen, because I assumed she must have had a clogged artery, because I didn't know there was electrical heart attacks at the time. So I ended up at Cedars. I had a friend up there, so I ended up there, and I was terrified because I felt like I was a walking time bomb. I didn't know if the aneurysm was growing, if it was brand new, if it was old. It was frightening. Long story short, it was a 4.4, so I had some window of time until surgery. That was that point that I discovered my bicuspid aortic valve. I'm adopted. I did not know my medical history. I do now. It's not on my mother's side. It is on my father's side. Ancestry.com found my father's family. I've connected with 21st cousins. I have 4 half-siblings, and there are 2 bicuspid aortic valves in that group of people. So spreading awareness. You never know by sharing your story. Here I'm jumping around again. Sharing your story saves lives. And sharing your story now helps others help others. We are in the time now, we're helping people that are going to be following behind us with the diagnoses. We are helping those that are currently diagnosed and need support. Barbara mentions mental health. So mental health is a huge piece of going through open heart surgery, of having any type of chronic condition or an emergency surgery. I'm meeting people who dissect and they're having these emergencies. I'm in shock. I had this nice little easy path, the watch and wait. And I'm meeting people here who've had serious emergencies. The mental health care piece is a piece that I'm out there advocating for clinicians and hospitals and integrative medicine, all of it, to watch the patients, give us the referrals to some type of therapy, some type of support, because it's real. I hit my depression about 5 months after my open heart surgery, and all of a sudden I became very snappy, and I'm a Susie Mary Sunshine. I mean, everyone calls me Susie Mary Sunshine. I'm always upbeat, all faith, no fear, mindset is everything, and all of a sudden I'm becoming this grouchy, grumpy person, and I realized I'm depressed. I need to figure out what happened to me physically, because there's a physical trauma to the body, and there's a mental trauma to the body. And the physical trauma has to be processed. In my case, I had to process it. So I started watching the videos, the open heart surgery, exactly what happens to you. I had to know everyone who was in the room. It turns out this woman that I met through American Heart Association in Los Angeles, her father was my perfusionist. So her father literally held my life in his hands. Besides Dr. Trento, the surgeon who had my heart in his hands. But it's an amazing world. And to me, as I stand here today, it is truly one of the greatest gifts of my life to have been diagnosed with a congenital heart defect, having an aneurysm, having endocarditis. Because what it's done is I am now so fulfilled at age 61 to be here, and to be talking on Capitol Hill. I was on Capitol Hill 2 weeks with Women Heart, which is another Women Heart, it's a volunteer heart patient organization. But to be sharing the story, to be fighting for the rights, for the equity in healthcare, to be fighting for, drugs to be paid for, to be fighting for women in research. I mean, the list goes on. I could talk a lot more than 10 minutes on this, but just know that I'm hoping that if and when you are diagnosed with heart disease, any other type of illness, serious or just minor, if you feel compelled and you want to feel fulfilled and help others, share your story. Every organization has a tab, I'm sure. Heart Valve Voice does. I know Aortic Hope does. I'm sure Rock from the Heart does. Everybody wants to hear your story because that's how we're going to make changes. Sharing your story is becoming such a buzzword. I was at a Global Heart Hub meeting, and we all talked about how sharing our story, getting the organizations to work together, how do we get the physicians, the clinicians to listen to us? I can go on a whole nother 30 minutes on how to advocate for yourself and questions and all of that. And you mentioned ask your doctor for a stethoscope, to listen to your heart. Well, as a female who was raised similar to Karen, where you have these hierarchies, right? The doctors, the lawyers, the policemen, those professions, and I'm a female and they're men. It's like, oh yes, okay, I can do that. Okay, sure. I'm not going to ask any questions because I don't want to be stupid. I don't want to be insulting them. And I will tell you, and I don't know how much time. I'm sure I'm over. I'm telling you that as I transition from patient into patient advocate, into the patient voice, into this director of patient engagement with Heart Valve Voice, my relationships with my doctors are changing. And right now I can tell you it's not so positive. And so, yes, in a perfect world, we should be able to be honest and talk about our fears and ask the questions. But I think there's this transition because I'm asking more questions. I'm questioning what they're telling me. I'm seeing them at conferences. I'm meeting their friends at conferences. I'm still trying to be super respectful. They are the professional. But I'm now a professional voice. And everybody in this room is a professional voice for something. So I'm always here to chat. It's Heart Valve Voice. I've got business cards. I do a lot of peer-to-peer talks. I talk to people. I visit people. I travel. I just want to connect. So please reach out, and thank you so much for this opportunity. And again, I apologize if I bounced all over like a ball, but there's so much to say, and I appreciate the opportunity. So thank you.